remains extraordinary that governors of states, that United States senators, that members of Congress who actually fund these, what many people inside are calling concentration camps. I think that really internment camps certainly do fit, that they can't get in. You're a governor of a state where they have placed one of these internment camps, and the Trump administration does not allow you to go inside there. You're a United States senator or a United States congressman, congresswoman, and you actually fund these internment sites, and they're black holes. They're black holes, and you have people inside there that are being held that shouldn't be held there. We know that, and we know that they'll stay as long as they can stay because the people inside there get paid by the day. In many cases, from the reporting that we've gotten. So the longer they hold people, even if those people are held illegally, well, the more money they make. So again, something has to be done here. Every member of Congress should go to every internment camp in their districts and should demand that they be allowed to be in, or they fund nothing. They absolutely fund it. And I will tell you, that happened. That happened when I was in Congress. Everything came to a stop. We said, we're not passing a single bill until you talk to us about how you're going to balance this budget, how you're going to save Medicare, how you're going to save Social Security. If we can do that about Medicare and Social Security, we can do that about human beings who are being brutalized inside these internment camps. And brutalized so much that many leave saying that they're like concentration camps. Now, how can we verify that? Oh, wait, I'll tell you how we can verify it. You can actually let members of Congress, United States senators who funded those internment camps to go in and check on a daily basis to see how the people inside of there are being treated. You know, we have enemies in wars that allow the Red Cross to go in and check. But we're actually funding. I want to say it again. We're actually funding as taxpayers through the United States Congress, through the Article 1 branch, these internment camps where people are being abused, where people are being held when they should be freed.
Yeah. Yes.
And this administration thinks they have a right. An Article 2 branch thinks they have a right to tell an Article 1 branch or a governor who actually is hosting the internment camp in her state that they don't have a right to do that. That's absolutely ridiculous. We're going to talk about that much, much more. It's got to come to an end. There has to be transparency. What is the Trump administration hiding? What is the DHS hiding? What abuses, what serial abuses of human beings are they hiding? And I want to say for everybody who's stupid enough to say, well, they're here illegally. We don't know that. You don't know that. You're just making that shit up. You don't know who's in there. And you don't know if they're here illegally or not.
Even someone here illegally has rights to due process. And what is going on here is many layers of wrong. Many layers. And there are a lot of members of Congress, if they're watching right now, we're saying we have been. Like Adalita Grijalva has been trying to get into Dilley, been trying to get into these different centers, and they are denied access again and again and again. Cory Booker, they try and get in to see what is happening to these human beings. Many children being held, families separated, and the reports in there from the putrid water to the way they're being treated to the lack of privacy in America. This is happening.
100 men jammed into one room, no guards that will actually come in there. They're sharing maybe one or two filthy, backed up toilets. It's unbelievable. But Mika, I was getting to the point that you just made, which is a lot of people will say stupidly, oh, they're illegal. They get what they deserve. First of all, you don't know if they're here illegally. Secondly, the rules keep changing. Now we're going after people applying for green cards and saying now they have to be sent home, people that are in the application process. But I know the Constitution doesn't mean much to you if you are in the cult. I know it doesn't, because you've proven time and again the United States Constitution and constitutional norms don't matter to you. But none other than Antonin Scalia was asked the question, who does the United States apply to? And Scalia said, well, it applies to American citizens living in the United States. It applies to American citizens living all across the world. And Scalia, the godfather of conservative jurisprudence, said, and it applies to anybody that is in the United States of America. They are protected by constitutional rights. Those constitutional rights are being just torn to shreds every single day inside of these internment camps, and it's time that something be done.